Hey, what's going on, 200K fam? Hope you're doing great today. I am just finishing up my day. Actually, had a really good day. Got all of my contacts done today. Got my week scheduled out. Started working on some paperwork. So good start to the week here. Anyways, I was want to kind of go over some things with you guys that I've been thinking about last week. Last week I did some money moves, did some planning for the future. Want to kind of go over that and my thought process behind some of that stuff. I know a lot of you guys are new, and maybe this maybe won't help you right now, but maybe it will help you, in the future as you get a little bit more experience under your belt. But so just to let you guys know, when I went home last week, definitely gotta give my wife more credit for this than I can take. Is we actually ended up getting some life insurance on me. That is something I think everybody should at least think about, but at least especially in this field, if you're going to be out in the field and you're going to be doing some of the roofs and stuff that I do, it's always good to have life insurance. Most companies are going to offer some kind of, usually get some kind of help with compensation, workman's comp if you have an injury, but God forbid something happens, you're on the road in a car accident or something like that and you die, then that may not help your family as much as what you're hoping. So again, I have to really give credit to my wife for us to actually make that happen this last week, and getting some life insurance. But that's something I think everybody should be thinking about, especially in this field. On top of your errors and omissions and liability insurance, really think about getting life insurance if you're going to be out in the field, just to give your family some extra protection. Now, the way that you think about life insurance, if you want to know how much you should get, the thought process that I had is I want to have enough life insurance on me where my wife can create an income out of it. And so basically what happens is if you, God forbid, if you were to pass away, let's say you had $1 million policy, they cut your beneficiaries that check for $1 million. Well, shoot, $1 million is $50,000 a year for 20 years. Well, that's good if you're 65, 70 years old. But what if, your wife and kids are in their 30s like mine are. I only have one wife, by the way. But, 20 years, that doesn't really last that long. So $1 million really isn't that much. However, she can take that money and put it into different types of investments and potentially make $40,000, $50,000 a year in perpetuity by doing so. So my thought process was, okay, how much money do I want to get, and how much am I hoping that she gets in return? So my deal is, okay, I want her to have at least $50,000 to $75,000 a year if something were to happen to me. So I got a policy that reflected that, right? So that's just some way to think about life insurance there. It's not just here, it's a lump sum and we get the cheapest $500,000 policy, whatever. But if you're really trying to help your family create an income where they can kind of survive, you want to have enough where they can put that nest egg into some kind of money generating investment where they have money coming in no matter what they do for work, kind of thing, right? So if my wife had $50,000 coming in every year, she probably would still go get a job doing something to kind of increase that lifestyle a little bit, because we all know that $50,000 isn't that much. But she wouldn't have to go work 3 jobs in order to provide for her and the kids. So that's just something that we did this last week. Again, I have to give my wife credit for making that happen. I had it before back when I was in oil and gas. Oil and gas crash. I couldn't afford it at that time. Got off it for a while, and now I'm back in with life insurance. The other thing we're doing is we're probably going to be focused on paying down the RV debt. For you guys who don't know or are thinking about getting an RV, RVs are considered a luxury item, so the interest rates on those are going to be higher than what you would get usually on like a car. Definitely higher than what you get on a house. And since things are going to be weird with the economy for a while, I think the safest return, in my opinion, is actually to pay down the debt. So at least higher debt. For you guys who have like credit card debts and have like 15% interest rate, 20% interest rates, yeah, you need to get those, start paying those down. There's not really a whole lot of investments out there where the interest rates you gain will be higher than the interest rates you save when you pay off debt, okay? Now, that is not true for something like a house. Usually, typically, if you have a house and you got, a measly 4% interest rate, there are plenty of different investments. I mean, most money, index funds are going to get at least a 6% interest rate. So, should you take the extra $1,000 a month you make and put it on the house note, or should you take the extra $1,000 and put it into some investments? I mean, it's kind of a wash, but you can make the argument for putting it into some investments. So in this case here, I don't see the interest rates. I don't see the investment opportunities. And again, I'm not a financial planner, so I'm not giving you quote unquote financial advice. I'm giving you kind of my thought process, and hopefully trigger some thought processes that you guys can then go and make some moves with as well. So I think paying down the RV is actually a better move than investing at the moment. That could change. Again, it's just kind of what we're seeing here. Inflation is super high right now. For you guys who don't know, cumulative inflation has been about 10% since COVID started. That means things are minimum 10% higher than what they were when COVID started. That is very high, especially when you're thinking about the average inflation rate for the last, since President Obama has been 2s, 3s, 3%. So to have 10%, I mean, that's more than double the average inflation rate. And by the way, inflation has not been under 5% since May of last year. So we're talking about, going on 9 months now of 5% interest rates or more. Heading into the springtime, and it's an election year. I don't know if that's going to be slowing down. People are trying to make moves to increase their chances of getting elected again. That usually comes in the form of passing out free money. So my guess is inflation is going nowhere this year, and then maybe next year people will start taking it a little bit more seriously. But again, that's just something that I'm thinking about here. Another thing that I think everybody should think about, and I've said this before in another video, is you need to make sure that you're having 3 months expenses saved up, or the ability to cover yourself for 3 months at some point this year. Now, that's not just because deployments can be fickle, and they can be, but that's just good business sense. Now, when I say have some way to cover yourself for 3 months, depending on how many deployments you've been on in the last couple months, you could go out and get a line of credit at the bank, a business line of credit. Sometimes it'll go up as high as $25,000. That's way more than 3 months. So you would be good if you went and got a line of credit. Usually it's going to be about $5,000, so that's about a month. For most people, it's about $5,000. So line of credit is one way to do it. Try to stay away from credit cards as much as you can, because that's a great way to put yourself in a financial bind for several years. Not if you can't make those payments, I mean that will haunt you for a couple years, at least 7 years. So cash and lines of credit. The good thing about a line of credit, you don't pay it back unless you actually utilize it. So if you only, you had a $25,000 line of credit, you only needed $5,000, you don't have to pay the $25,000 back. You're just paying that $5,000 back. Okay, so you use it as you need it. It's just there as you need it. So I think everybody should look into getting a line of credit and saving as much money until they get to that 3-month mark. So my goal is to be about half and half, have half of those 3 months to be in cash, the other half to be as a line of credit, and then use that extra cash to pay off the RV and get that debt down. So one thing I would also say is, in theory, there's a lot of people who are thinking that, in speculation, that we have entered a renter's market. So if you were watching, what's her name? The Senator, Barbara Warren, who was throwing a big fit about these companies going in and buying up all these homes and turning them to renter homes and raising the housing or the renters' prices on them. That's a real deal, and so renter prices is going up. So you need to have that kind of in the back of your mind that, hey, this next year rent prices might be increasing a little bit more than normal, which means you probably need to have a little bit more cash on hand just in case. So those are just some money things that I'm thinking about. Again, that's not financial advice per se. I'm not a financial planner, but that is some things that I'm thinking about, some things that I was dealing with last week as I was off. But so that's kind of defense. So there's two parts of money. There's offense and defense. The defense side is saving, preparing, making sure you keep a low debt to income ratio. That's defense, right? But we also have another thing called offense, and we have to figure out how to increase our income as well. Again, some of you guys you're trying to get on your first deployment, so understand that. Some things to think about to increase your income. Obviously, certifications are a big deal. Probably the biggest certifications that you can probably get at the moment, obviously, is the 2-story steep certification. So become 2-story steep certified for you guys who aren't afraid of heights. And also, of course, Xactimate 1 and Xactimate 2. Those are two really good certifications to get and start thinking about getting. Now, that may not necessarily increase your that's not going to increase your pay plan usually. You're going to make the same amount of money, but it gets you on more deployments typically, right? So, what I'm working on right now is my Xactimate Level 2 certification, and I'll be doing that while I am here on this deployment in North Carolina. So I'm going to get that certification, and then what I'm going to do is later on this year or maybe early next year, I'm going to take a Train the Trainers course for Xactimate and become a certified instructor. And that's one thing I can do, I think, next year during the winter time. One thing that I was kind of disappointed in this year is I missed the holidays with my kids, and I don't want to do that again. I love traveling. I actually like the field work more than I like the desk work. But with that said, that comes with sacrifices. So I got to find a way to make sure that I can make money in the wintertime. So that I become a certified instructor, I can have that opportunities to either network with other adjusting companies or firms and provide classes for them. Also do my own personal classes off this YouTube channel. Obviously, if God willing, if I have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, that's a great way to increase my Xactimate course exposure if that makes sense. So definitely utilize the YouTube channel to build a side business there, just so I can make money from home and I'm not spending the entire year trying to make money away from my family. So if I could really, if you're asking me what is a great year as far as the deployment wise, I would say, 4 months out in the field, 4 months behind the desk, and 4 months, just kind of doing whatever I wanted kind of thing, either taking off or putting on some Xactimate courses, something like that. I think that's a really good balance where, God willing, my kids don't feel like I'm an absentee father, right? That's something we all should be thinking about, making sure that we're being there for our kids when they need them. So I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure they're provided for, but I also got to be well-rounded and balanced, and making sure that I'm looking for ways to work more from home and spend more time with them as well. So anyways, those are some of the ideas that I have that I've been thinking about. If you have your own ideas, feel free to post them in the comments below. Sometime this week, I'll also do a walkthrough on how I winterize the RV here, some of the other tools that I have for climbing roofs. The video yesterday was about the smaller tools that I carry in my utility box here. It's really easy to just put in the truck, take out of the truck, put it in the RV if I need to. So it's all in a box there, and I got just about everything I need to be successful on deployment. So anyways, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and we will talk to y'all later.